My name's Toran. I've been a thief my whole life. Quick hands, quicker feet, and a knack for slipping through the cracks of this rotting galaxy. Grew up on the neon-drenched streets of Virus Prime, where the rich float in their sky towers and the rest of us claw through the muck below. I wasn't a killer, mind you, just a man who took what wasn't nailed down. But the law doesn't care about intent when you're caught with a stolen plasma rig in your pack. That's how I ended up here, in this hellhole of a prison. A circular nightmare where survival's a gamble and trust is a death sentence. They dropped us, 120 of us, into this place at the same time. No explanation, no welcome. Just a ring of cells, each one a glass box with a metal floor, stacked like a cruel amphitheater. I could see every other inmate through the transparent walls, some pacing, some screaming, some staring back at me with hollow eyes. The circle was perfect, endless, and suffocating. My cell was bare, a cot, a speaker bolted to the ceiling, and a single button on the wall with a keypad next to it. 4 digits, it demanded. No instructions, no clues. To my left was a wiry woman with a shaved head, muttering to herself. To my right, a broad-shouldered guy with a scar running down his cheek. He caught my eye and nodded, slow and deliberate. "Name's Jamal," he said through the speaker connecting our cells. His voice crackled, deep and steady. "You?" "Toran," I replied, keeping it short. I didn't know him, didn't trust him yet, but something about his calm demeanor settled my nerves. We could hear each other, but only our immediate neighbors, no one else. The rest of the circle was a silent pantomime of rage and confusion. Then the voice came, booming, artificial, filling every cell through the speakers.
"Welcome to the circle. Every 10 minutes, a cell will be selected. It will heat to 1,000 degrees over 2 minutes. The inmate to the right can stop it by entering the correct 4-digit code. If they fail, or if they're dead, the responsibility shifts to the next living neighbor to the right. Reveal the code with hand signals, and you will burn immediately. Speak only. Begin."
Silence fell, then chaos. Shouts erupted across the circle, muffled through the glass but sharp in my ears, from Jamal and the woman to my left. "What's the code?" she screamed. "Someone say something." I didn't answer. None of us knew. We were rats in a maze and the game had just started. 10 minutes later, it began. A cell across the ring glowed red, the metal floor shimmering with heat. The inmate inside, a skinny kid with wild hair, started banging on the glass, his mouth open in a silent scream. Through my speaker I heard it, his gasps, his pleas, then his shrieks as the temperature climbed. "Help me, someone, please!" The guy to his right, a hulking brute, punched the keypad frantically. Random numbers, I guessed. Nothing worked. 2 minutes passed, and the kid's screams turned to gurgles, then silence. The cell dimmed. He was gone. A charred husk slumped against the glass. The circle went quiet, every eye locked on that blackened cell. Then Jamal's voice crackled in my ear. His neighbor didn't know the code. None of us do. "Yeah," I muttered, my stomach twisting. "But now we know how it works. One of us dies, and the guy to the right's got 2 minutes to figure it out, or we're next." The woman to my left, her name was Kalia, I learned later, hissed, "We need to work together. Tell each other what we try." "Fine," I said, "but we can only hear the ones next to us. It's a damn chain. By the time the code gets around, half of us could be ash." She cursed, but she was right. We had to try. The next 10 minutes ticked by and another cell lit up. This time, it was a grizzled old man, 3 cells to my left. Kalia heard him screaming through her speaker, relayed it to me, and I passed it to Jamal. The guy to the old man's right, a twitchy bastard with a shaved head, yelled, "I'm trying 0000." 2 minutes later, the old man was dead, his cell a furnace. 0000 doesn't work, I told Jamal. He nodded through the glass, his jaw tight. The deaths piled up. Every 10 minutes another cell glowed, another voice begged through the speakers, and another random guess failed. 1111, 9999, 5555, nothing. 5 inmates burned before we started piecing it together. After the 5th death, a woman who'd been clawing at her walls, the guy to her right shouted, "I tried 1212 and it stopped." His cell was too far for me to hear directly, but the message trickled down the chain, distorted like a game of whispers. Kalia leaned close to the speaker. Did he say 1212? I think so, I said, squinting at the frantic gestures across the circle. Tell your left neighbor. She did, and I told Jamal. 1212, that's the code. He frowned. You sure? If we're wrong. We're dead anyway if we don't try, I snapped. Pass it on. The next cell lit up, mine. The floor beneath my feet warmed, then burned. I yanked my boots off, hopping from foot to foot as the heat climbed. Jamal, 1212, do it! His fingers flew over the keypad, and at the 1-minute mark, the heat stopped. I slumped against the glass, panting, my soles blistered but alive. It worked, he said, grinning through the wall. 1212. The code spread, but not fast enough. The chain was a mess. Some inmates garbled it, others refused to share, hoarding the knowledge like it was power. One guy, a lanky creep 2 cells from Jamal, shouted, "I'm not telling my neighbor shit, let him burn." His neighbor did burn, and the creep laughed until his own cell lit up 10 minutes later. Karma's a bastard. Rivalries festered. Ego ruled. A clique formed across the circle. 6 inmates who'd banded together, passing the code only among themselves. If your cell was outside their little club, tough luck. Meanwhile, Jamal and I stuck together, a 2-man alliance. We'd talk through the speaker, low and quick, sharing what we heard, keeping each other sane. We're not like them, he'd say. We don't let each other die. Sleep became our refuge. When your cell wasn't glowing, you'd crash on the cot, praying the next 10 minutes wouldn't be your turn. But the more we talked, the more we tried to organize, the worse it got. The director didn't like it. Day 3, or what I guessed was day 3, the voice returned.
You're adapting too well. New rules. The code is now 3434. The interval is 5 minutes. Enjoy.
Panic ripped through the circle. 5 minutes between burns? We barely had time to breathe, let alone sleep. And a new code? The chain broke down fast. Kalia told me 3,434, I told Jamal, but beyond that, it was chaos. Some heard 3344, others 4334. Cells flared more often. Screams filled the speakers, and the smell of burnt flesh seeped through the vents. The clique across the ring hoarded the new code, letting outsiders roast. One of them even taunted me through the glass, mouthing words I couldn't hear but could damn well guess. Jamal and I held on. He'd press 3434 when my cell glowed. I'd do the same for Kalia. We kept our little link alive, but the circle was shrinking. By day 5, only 40 of us remained. The rest were ash, their cells dark and silent. Then Jamal's cell lit up. I watched, helpless, as he danced on the scorching floor. "Toran, tell Marek, 3434, he shouted. Marek was his right neighbor, a quiet guy with dead eyes I'd barely noticed. I yelled into the speaker, "Marek! 3,434. Hit it." Nothing. Jamal's screams grew shrill, his fists pounding the glass. "Marek, you bastard, do it!" 1 minute passed. I kept shouting, 3,434. "Marek, now!" At the 2-minute mark, Jamal collapsed, his body a smoldering ruin. The heat stopped, too late. I stared at Marek through the glass. He turned to me, his voice slithering through the speaker now that he was my next living neighbor. "Oops," he said, and smiled. A chill ran through me. That wasn't an accident. He'd let Jamal die. "Why?" I growled. "Felt like it," he said, his tone flat. "You're next, Toran. Maybe I'll press the button, maybe not." He was a psycho. I'd never heard him before, never knew what he was. Now, with Jamal gone, I was at his mercy. The circle had dwindled to 15 by then, the survivors a mix of the cunning, the lucky, and the ruthless. Marek was something worse. The burns came faster. Every 5 minutes, a random cell. Marek saved me twice, smirking each time he punched in 3434. "See? I'm your friend," he'd say, but his eyes told a different story. I stopped sleeping, watching him through the glass, waiting for the moment he'd let me fry just for kicks. Day 7, or what felt like it, the voice spoke again.
7 will survive. The rest will burn. Code changed. What is 9,139 minus 1,261? Interval 2 minutes.
2 minutes. We were done. Luckily, I did the math, but how about the others? The circle erupted in shouts, pleas, threats. The chain was useless now. Too fast, too fractured. Cells flared every 2 minutes and the code barely spread. 7878 became 8127 or 7879 in the panic. One by one, the others fell. Talia burned when her neighbor fumbled the code. The clique collapsed when their leader misheard and roasted. Marek kept me alive, though I didn't know why. Maybe he liked the game, liked having power over me. By the end, 7 of us remained, scattered across the circle. Me, Marek, and 5 others I didn't know. The burns stopped. Silence fell. Then gas hissed into my cell. I clawed at the walls, my vision blurring, Marek's laugh echoing in my ears as I blacked out. I woke on a street corner in Verus Prime, sprawled on the cracked pavement. The neon lights buzzed above, the air thick with smog. My clothes were singed, my hands trembling, but I was alive. The prison was gone, a nightmare I couldn't shake. I didn't know why they'd let me go or what the point of it all was. Maybe the director got bored. Maybe I was a message. Jamal's face haunted me, his calm voice, his trust. Marek's too, that sick grin burned into my skull. I'd survived, but at what cost? The circle had taken everything else. I stood, a tiny paper note falling down. As I opened it, I couldn't believe my eyes. "I will find you and meet you in person. Bye-bye, dead rabbit. Sincerely, your lovely Marek." If you liked this story, drop a like and subscribe for more sci-fi stories in the future. If you want more now, check out the recommended videos.